Hey everyone, my name is Ayana Goring and this is my first video. I am from Barbados and I am a recent graduate from Cuba with a Doctor of Medicine, and I wanted to do this video just on my experiences in Cuba and how my experiences have shaped me to be the person that I am today, and a lot of the lessons that I have learned. So I left Barbados when I was 19 years old. It was in 2012. I was still young. I always wanted to become a doctor because I don't know, I just felt like I liked sciences and I wanted to use my love for sciences to be able to help people and just be able to help people with different illnesses and diseases. So I got this scholarship to Cuba through this guy called David Comachon. He is, and I'm just forever grateful to him for having me with that, because I was studying something before that I did not love at all. I did not like it at all. It was just, yeah. So I came to Cuba. So when I came to Cuba, I studied at this school called Escuela Latinoamericana de Medicina. It's a school in Havana, and it's a school, the idea was brought about by Fidel Castro, where he wanted to be able to give the opportunity of studying medicine to people like from developing countries, that persons who are not able to afford to study medicine. So he wanted to give them to the opportunity to be able to study in Cuba and offer the advancements that Cuba has made in medicine, so that they'll be able to take the knowledge that they have learned studying medicine in Cuba and go back to their communities and apply it to their health system. Because as we know, Cuba's medicine is mainly preventative, and it's better. Preventative medicine is better because it's just better. So that's the idea of Elam. And in this school, we were just foreign students, and at the time when I was going to school there, we were over 100 and something nationalities. And it was quite interesting because imagine being from a small island, and when you're from a small island, it comes with certain limitations, and limitations within like your mind and the way that you see life, especially if you haven't studied for an extended period of time outside of your country. You have like a restrictive kind of mentality. And before I went to Cuba, I had a very self-absorbed mentality about life, and I thought that life owed me something, and I never really, because I'm from an only child. So I am an only child from a single parent. So everything was just about me, and just like I was just very self-absorbed and just never really realized that there's a world outside of me and life is not about me. So when I first got to Cuba, it was a culture shock, because as with Cuba is because of the embargo that's on, and it's not just because of the embargo, but Cuba has such a rich and beautiful culture, and because of the embargo, it's really pushed them to be very innovative, and a lot of the things that we might see, that we might think that we need, we really don't. They're very, very innovative, and the beautiful thing about Cubans is that with whatever little they have, they're always willing to share with others. So when I first got there, Cuba has a very beautiful like culture, not and like their architecture and just everything is just so rich and beautiful and so different. So it was different to me, and then also too, like they don't speak the same language as me, so it was very difficult for me at first. So when I first got there, we had to do something called quarantine. Now, as I said, Cuba is preventative medicine, so what they do is they quarantine you, isolate you for like a couple of days, so that if you have like any illness, or you will not like transmit it to other people. So that's them. So it was kind of difficult at first, because back then in 2012 there was no free available Wi-Fi, there was no data, there was nothing. So I was just, I wasn't able to communicate with my family. I wasn't able, so it was just changing from my life, leaving my family, my home, and then just going straight into like cutting every single else that I have known for the 19 years of my life, just cutting it right off, and just so it was very difficult. But anyway, so eventually as time went by, it was hard, but I wouldn't say that I came to Cuba on the premise of knowing that each and every single year I would have been able to go home, or for Christmas I would have been able to go home. But there are people who have gone to Cuba who have never been home, who have probably been home like once or twice every 2 3 years, and so I really commend them. Kudos to you guys, congratulations, because imagine leaving your home, because the majority of us came from like the time we were 18, like 2021, and then just going to a place of where you're away from your family and life. It was very, very difficult. So yeah, so anyway, um so when we so where I lived, we were at first we were four, but then eventually we were 12. We were 12 of us, 12 girls in our room. There was Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Palestine, Rwanda, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis. We were did I say Rwanda? Yeah. So we were six nationalities in our room. 12 of us, three bunk beds. No, sorry, six bunk beds, and that it was a lot. It was a lot, but eventually you get accustomed to it, and you learn how to get along with people, how to respect another person's personal space, how to respect what and understand that what you would not want some person to do to you, you would not do to another person. So that was such a beautiful thing, and that's why I say to myself, like, I'm able to work along with anybody, like any person, because I have learned the boundaries that a person, to respect the boundaries that another person has set, and to set my own boundaries, and to respect people. So yeah, so that was that. So it was hard, but eventually, like, I've made some very good friends from through that experience, and I have very, very beautiful memories. There was this time where it was Christmas, and we all decided in the room that we were going to have a gift exchange. So we all bought a gift for each other, and then we exchanged it, we shared, and then we bought food, we sang, we danced, we played music, we ate, we just shared jokes. It was so nice. So I don't know, like, I'm just so grateful for that. Personally, I had a great time, and those girls were like family to me in that room. We had a lot of disagreements, obviously, but in the end, like, we all were going through the same thing. We all were missing our families. We were away from home, but we all had a common goal, which is to study medicine, become a doctor, and leave. So yeah, so I had a good time just like living with these girls, and yeah. So anyway, so also to another memorable experiences that I had from Cuba and in that school was yeah, so we used to have these things called galas. So at these galas you would sing, you would dance, and you would show your culture. So each region had their own gala. So like the Caribbean region, for example. So each of us would come together and say, okay, so we're gonna do this dance to this music. We're gonna sing. We're gonna do a poetry, and it was so nice because it really showed. It really helped us to work together as a region, and in as much as, because people outside of the Caribbean, for people who don't know, they see us as like Caribbean, like we're one. We're not. For the world, we're not. Like, we all are different countries. Yes, we have similar like histories and like culture, but we all have we are all different, unique countries, different. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, we all came together. We showed our dances, and then we had these expositions where we had to put on, like, we had to like cook food and show people, and they would have like this big corridor with just like lots of tables, and each country had their own table. So then you had to show, like I said, Barbados, we had to show food, we had to show like our national wear. So I would wear my costume, so it was just basically like you were being like an ambassador for your country. And then like Africa would have their gala, and their gala was so amazing. The music, Africa is a big place, and yeah, and they would dance. It was so nice. So that's just another experience that I had that was just very, very nice. Other things were like, yeah, I mean, granted, there were a lot of hardships, but the thing about it is that when you are going through a hardship with another person, it becomes a lot easier. It really does become a lot easier. It really does become a lot easier. So yeah, so it was hard, but at least I knew that all of us that were in school, like we were all going through the same thing. So it made things a lot easier. I made a lot of friends from just like all over the world. I have a lot of like my close friends are from all over the world, and yeah, so that's it. But yeah, and school. Oh, how could I forget this? So in school, we had we learned Spanish like our first year. We learned Spanish in Spanish. So our teachers that taught us Spanish, they spoke Spanish. So what they did, they would we would have to relate certain expressions and certain sentences to different scenarios. So, for example, let's say our teacher comes in, she would say, Buenos días, ¿cómo están todo? ¿Qué tal? You know, that, and then you would know, okay, well, that's how you greet, you know, and then our books would have like, okay, so they would have like photos, and then you would say, okay, so that's in school, so that's at a cafe, that's like how you order food. So just like those things, like they would teach us how to speak Spanish in Spanish. And then in our class, in my class, in all of the classes, you didn't have people from your country, so you were forced, let's say, so in my class there were people who spoke French, who spoke Portuguese, who spoke Swahili, who spoke different languages, and you had to speak Spanish to communicate with them, because that's the only other language, because obviously I don't speak Portuguese, so I'm with him. So then there was this guy from my class who was from Brazil, so he so I had, so if I wanted him to do something, if I wanted to communicate with him, I had to speak Spanish to him. So that was a very beautiful experience, like yeah. Anyways, so a lot of my friends that I have, like I speak to them in Spanish, and that's how I communicate with them. Anyways, so that's that. So then after that, we had to do like basic sciences, like biology, chemistry, physics, like those things, and history. It was so boring. And okay, they used to make us do history, and I could never understand why they would make us do history. But then I realized that knowing your history just makes you so much more proud of who you are, and understand it would help you to really understand where you're coming from. So yeah, that's that. I mean, I didn't really like it at that time, but you know. So then after we did like pre-med subjects like physiology, biochemistry, histology, anatomy, like those subjects that we had to do. And yeah, so then you spent 3 years at that school. And then I went to another province called Las Tunas. So Las Tunas is like more country area in Cuba, because Cuba is a big place, guys. Don't be fooled. Cuba is very big. So I went to this place called Las Tunas. And in Las Tunas, it's more country. It's very quiet. Yeah, but I've learned a lot. I mean, I don't really want to go so much into it, but one thing I can say about Cuba and about what I've learned is, because from that time, from third year, that's from third to sixth year, that's when you have your clinical years. You do like internal medicine, you rotate through the different rotations: surgery, gynecology, obstetrics, like, you know, ophthalmology. So those were my clinical rotations, and I did them in Las Tunas, and it was a lot to learn, because Las Tunas is a very quiet place. And something I've learned is that we don't need a lot of things, like appreciating what's most important. You know, I've learned how to appreciate these smaller things in life, and like being more contented with what I have, and being grateful for what I have, you know. And realizing life is not about me. Life is not about Ayana. It's not about Ayana Goring. And life does not owe you anything. Life does not owe me anything. I have to get up and work hard for whatever I want, you know. And yeah, so it's really about what you can contribute to society, you know, and when all these material things and frivolities, like when we don't have like the things, like the material things, like what is left inside of you is like your values, and like how much of a good person you are, like the fruits of the spirit, like those things are most important. So yeah, so I've learned that in Las Tunas. Also too, in medicine, as we know, in like where you have to pay for medicine, well, in Barbados you don't have to, but still, like I've learned that medicine is for everybody. Like medicine should be free for everybody. Medicine should be readily available to everyone, because you should not have to have money or to be able to be treated, you know. And something I've learned, like some person from the street, like a vagrant, come from off the street and feel sick and needs to get a surgery, and they will do it, and they will treat a person who has, like, you would consider having no money, to a person that actually has, like, has a higher, a better economical situation, and you have to treat each of those persons the same. And that's the objective of communism and what Cuba tries to do. And I really do appreciate that. That's why, for me, I do believe that medical care should be free and readily available to everybody. So yeah, anyway, so I don't really want to go so much into it because I've been talking too much. So yeah, if you guys want another video of me talking about other things, I can. But thanks so much for watching my video, and goodbye.